Hello guys, as usual I'm going to just speak for a few seconds for the volume to just get set right, to know the feedback that the screen is looking fine, the volume is fine, coming through either chat or on the groups, and then we will jump in and start shooting. We're trying all kinds of things to reach out to people and talk during these COVID times. So hopefully things are fine, hopefully the volume is fine, the decibel is fine, you can hear me clearly, you can see me clearly, the visual is all right and all that. And so please do comment on the chat window on YouTube chat and to say that the volume is clear. Idea is to make sure that things are fine before we proceed on. We're going to discuss about how to prepare for CAT. Now there's a bunch of things that I have kind of pre-prepared for. I'm going to run through that. But after that, we're going to do a session discussing what about different questions that you might have. So give me about, let's do about a 45-minute session, 20 minutes that we can do with the prepared session, and about 25-30 minutes for Q&A. And so I'm being told the video picture is slightly elongated. I changed some of the settings and maybe it is because of that. Pardon me, I'm not going to fix it. This is what it is. Fine, so maybe I'll look thinner like this. And wonderful guys, I'm going to start with this. I'm going to flip into the prepared speech part of it, the part which I want to cover for sure. I will finish that and then we'll come back to this. Fine, so I'm going to shift to display capture mode, change this like this, put just like this, put this like this. Wonderful, I think this is working, and then now I'm going to shift to this. And hopefully I'm being seen clearly on this. And once again, I'm going to look for thoughts and feedback from the guys here to know that the screen share and display capture is working fine. Once that is fine, we will proceed with the rest of the session. But we're going to do a very short bunch of slides and seeing some simple ideas. When you get that out of the system, then go on to answering questions with Q&A and discussing with the live audience, where we can respond and discuss and all that. Fine. So even though the screen is shared, the moment I start sharing the screen, I can't see YouTube on another window, so I'm just hanging on to see if things are fine. If they're indeed fine, then we're good to go. Fine. So how to prepare for CAT? If you're starting now, I'm going to focus on some 2-3 things that seem to be big bugbears for people. Fine. So the preparation plan seems to be something that is there at right on top of people's minds. So what does this actually mean? And so we have a schedule for preparation. I know you can see the screen. So this is a wonderful link. We'll provide this link there. It tells you what you need to do in quant, what you need to do in number systems, what you do in algebra, what is there in geometry, what is the plan for DI, logical reasoning, how much you should read, how you should plan for reading, other verbal bits, overall revision, mocks. And it's in some detail this has been put together. And so it's a wonderful link. That link is available there. And so I'm not going to go through that whole page. I want to speak about this preparation plan thing. And very often people keep pinging us. These are most frequently asked questions, and we dodge this in some form. People say, give me a day-by-day schedule, give me an hour-by-hour schedule, tell me what I should do when. And so make sure you own your preparation. You have got to have a sense of, this is my preparation plan. I'm good at quant, I know my basic geometry, I'm going to spend more time on verbal and DILR. Got to say, I read, so my verbal ability is in place. I'm going to spend more time on quant. I've taken CAT once, so I know all the moving pieces. Now I'm going to focus more on mocks. You've got to take that ownership. Fine. So that is in terms of your strengths and weaknesses. You've got to assess that and take a position. Yeah? And how should you plan out your day? That changes. Fine. If you don't listen to anybody who says prepare from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in the middle read from 3 to 3:30. That is their schedule. And my preferred schedule, if you must know, I'm a morning person. So if I were given a clean canvas, I'll say, look, I'm going to prepare for CAT from scratch. Then I'll say Monday to Friday, I'll work from 5:30 to 7 on preparation in the morning. That works for me. Before I start the rest of that, before my day catches up with me, I want to do this. Assuming I'm working on a 9 to 7 job, during my job, I'll grab about an hour of reading. I'll come back home, whatever time I come back home, have a shower, have something to eat, plan out what I'm going to do the next day, but that's it. I cannot read for an hour, prepare intensely for an hour and a half, and then do something else in the night. So I'll switch off, watch something, and go off to sleep. Monday to Friday, my big chunk, the most juicy chunk would be 5:30 to 7. Assuming I'm working somewhere. I'll squeeze in an hour of reading during the job, 9 to 7. But if I work for 8 hours, 9 hours, traveled on top of it to and from office, and I've prepared in the morning for an hour and a half, and I've read for an hour during the day, then I'm beat. I can't come home at 7:30 and then say, okay, let me now do 2 hours of learning. Then my productivity is down, my output is down, and I start feeling irritated. If I get a lot for each hour spent, I'm happy. But if I spend a lot of hours and things are not moving, I get bugged. And it gets to me. It feels like I'm not moving even though I've spent time staring at a screen. That's neither here nor there. You're not having fun, you're not learning, and it just slips in between. And that ennui, boredom is really bad. So that'll be my schedule. And then on the weekends, I'll say, look, I'll spend Saturday to put an hour and a half to consolidate. Where do I stand? What topics have I finished? What topics have I not finished? During the weekdays, it'll be driven by quant, and I'll have out of the 5 sessions maybe 1 or 2 for DILR, nothing for VARC. And dominated by quant, 1 or 2 for DILR, nothing for RC. I'm reading for an hour, I'm covered for RC. My weekends will be dominated by consolidating and mocks. I'll definitely look to take one mock and analyze it, and either on Saturday or Sunday. Mock analysis is 6 hours. So I do about 7.5, 8 hours of preparation during the week, do 6 hours of mock analysis during the weekend. Then I've had a good week. This is assuming I'm working. I look to amp this up to 20 hours, 25 hours, 30 hours as we go closer to CAT, and take some break, take some strategically placed holiday before the exam. But if I'm working, then I cannot carve a schedule to prepare for 40 hours. But what I will make sure that if I'm saying I'm preparing for 15 hours or 17 hours, those are intense hours. And so make sure you're not fudging, you're not conning yourself into believing that you're preparing when you're not. Make sure that you prepare to your schedule. Make sure you own your preparation schedule. Make sure that it is to your strengths and weaknesses. And make sure that the time of day that works best for you, you count for that. And I have guys who their day starts at 9. They have to leave from home to office at 9. Then they can get up at 8:30 and go. They're just not morning people. They'll wake up at 8:30, just spring out of bed, rush through the process, grab breakfast on the way. They're out by 9, and they can throw in a bunch of things there. They come back by 7. They don't feel sleepy till 12:31. So you get about 5-6 hours after work. You spend about half an hour, 45 minutes freshening up. But 8 to 10 is very productive time. You're not feeling sleepy. You've done your work for the day. You've switched off from work. You can intensely prepare for a couple of hours and then go. If that works for you, that works for you. Early morning works like nothing else for me. Late night, not so much. But you could be the other way around. So in which case, define that. But I cannot give a standard day-by-day schedule or an hour-by-hour schedule and topic-wise schedule. Preparation-wise, quant is going to dominate preparation, but mocks are going to dominate after the last 3 months. So there's a lot more to cover in quant. Forget VRC. If you're getting an hour of reading every day, VRC takes care of itself. There's nothing much to prepare. Whatever you need to prepare is 5-6 hours. 1 week you set aside, you'll know all the question types, you're good to go. And you have to keep tweaking it, but it's not rocket science. The elephant in the room is RC. It's 24 out of 34 questions. Sentence rearrangement, sentence elimination, you can't prepare theoretically anyway. You do a bunch of exercises, you're good to go. And your reading will help any which way. And so your learning is going to be dominated by quant. Keep that in mind. Fine. But sooner or later, you have to go to assessment and where you stand, all that. And for that, you'll need to come to mocks. And mocks are going to be the mothership. Fine. And so I love this second panel here. While we were strategizing, they were doing something I believe they call work. And so a lot of students spend too much time obsessing over a random preparation detail, which is all moot if you don't throw in the hours and work. And so you need to, if you're preparing for 15 hours in a week, you need to spend half an hour to consolidate. But if you're preparing for 15 hours and 7 or 8 hours are in planning and listening to motivational stuff and discussing somebody else's preparation plan and thinking about how it can work for you and all of that, you're just wasting your time. The greatest relaxant that I know, if you're stressed or unhappy with your output, productivity, you're guilt tripping yourself, the best way to relax and get that thing off your head is actually work. None of the stuff of thinking about how your mind can be managed, relaxing and meditating and switching off and deep breathing and listening to motivational, inspirational, spiritual stuff, all are good. But if you're actually not done your stuff, the best way to feel better about yourself is to do your stuff. And so very often we the elephant in the room is output. How much do we demand out of ourselves and deliver on that? If that is fine, then you don't feel guilty, then you don't feel bad. And if that is not there, then plugging all these other things is like that famous statement, putting band-aid on a corpse. If you turn up and you do what is called as work, then you'll feel relaxed. Stress will go away if you prepare for 6 hours. If you're feeling overwhelmed about DILR, then instead of finding and thinking about how to improve and figuring out, if you take CAT 2017 papers, there are 8 plus 8, 16 sets of DILR sets, and you tell yourself, I'll worry about DILR after going through all 16. Suppose it takes a week for you to do that. You can do 2 sets a day, not more than that. Squeeze in maybe 3 on an odd good day. Then it takes you 6-7 days to go through that. You finish that. At the end, if you say, okay, I've now done 16 US sets, I get a hang of what this is. Now let me think about why I'm getting stressed about DILR. Chances are you're not stressed about DILR. Give work a chance to do its thing. Right? One of my favorite quotes: show up, show up, show up, and after a while, the muse shows up too. And so, relentlessly turn up. You be there, do your thing. It'll have its own impact. Don't. You have to give time a chance to do its magic. You do 100 hours of preparation, your stress will disappear. So you keep that as a focus area. Don't worry about the pieces of the jigsaw that are not falling in place. All the pieces of the jigsaw will never fall in place. And so it'll never. Very often we just make up the rules as we go along, make an adjustment here, do a fudge there, do a jugaad there, and you carry on with life. And that's magical. I'm not saying this in a negative way. That's magical. Great things get built by wonderful incrementalism. And keep turning up, keep doing your things. You'll get relaxed. You'll get more questions under your belt, more puzzles under your belt, more passages under your belt. You'll naturally get better. Okay? Preparation zone. Fine. So don't wait for inspiration. Just simply don't wait for inspiration. Fine. So have discipline, be relentless, be at it. Create micro targets to keep at it. If you're thinking about CAT preparation and you say, look, my goal is 99.5 percentile, that's out there. You'll know the impact of that next January. And so you've got to say, okay, this week I'll read for 6 hours, prepare for 7 hours before the weekend comes. Simple targets, very measurable, intact, straightforward. And then input metric driven. Don't say I'll achieve this target and read at this speed or solve at this many questions per minute, all that. I'm going to prepare for 7 to 8 hours. I'm going to read for 6 to 7 hours, Monday to Friday. And then obsessively track that metric. If you do that, you'll automatically move. Right? Now I'm going to go to the rest of the bits, which is how to prepare for quant, DLR, VRC, mocks, and how to handle the stress. These are the 5 things that I have in mind. So I'm going to go through each one of those, but I'm going to switch the mode so that I can have one look at the questions as well. So I'm going to stop this so that you guys can see me. Remove this. Go for this. Hopefully now you can see me. I'm going to tackle quant, DILR, VRC, and mocks. And each of those in that probably in that order. And so now we're going to go through each of those preparation bits. I'll finish probably in another 10-15 minutes, post which we can have a bunch of time. We can have a quota of time allotted for discussing Q&A and questions and all of that. Right? Super. How to prepare for quant? Quant is the largest preparation bundle and lots of theory to do. So focus on that as far as the preparation part is concerned. Build fundamentals. The order, if you have a preferred order, go with that. If you have not created an outline for yourself, my preferred order would be arithmetic, then geometry, then number system / algebra, then the other one. And so arithmetic gets tested heavily. Half the questions are going to be from percentages, profit and loss, averages, ratios, proportions, mixture, speed, time, pipe cisterns, that bucket. If you add linear, quadratic and APGP, not classify them as algebra but as arithmetic, you're done. 16-17 questions come from this spot. and you can go to 94th, 93rd percentile without knowing anything else. So hit that. Then hit geometry, because geometry, trigonometry, mensuration, coordinate geometry together are likely to account for 8-9 questions. So if you cover these two, you're up to 24, 25 out of 34 in a standard general cat. Fine. Once you finish that, then go towards either algebra or number systems and permutation combination, depending on which one you're that little bit more comfortable with. Right? So that's a preferred sequence. How should you read? Read from first principles. Very often we think we know all the fun days, but the fundamentals are not in place the way they should be in order to build speed. So learn the theory, learn the proofs, learn the ideas, then go to tweaking them further and building speed. Speed will come naturally. Don't obsess over speed. Right? Now, what happens when you're preparing for quant is you'll do percentages, profit and loss. Then you'll do ratios, mixtures, speed time. Then you go to simple interest, compound interest, and the percentages ideas get used there. But your speed is gone, your instinct is gone, your pen doesn't move naturally. You realize that you thought you knew percentages, but you seem to have forgotten it. Right? So that happens to everybody. All learning is iterative. So if you have 10 topics in mind for arithmetic, you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, and then iterate and go. Right? So you will have to revisit, and you will have to revisit frequently. And so keep that in mind. Things just do go out of our mind. Fine. So it does happen. It happens to everybody. You'll have to revisit. So sometimes you'll be like, you're continuously revisiting. You've taken a month to do just 3 topics, and then the topics pile up. Don't worry. Don't obsess over one thing. Read percentages, profit and loss, simple interest, then shift out and go pipes and cisterns, speed time races, ratios, mixtures, then come to percentage profit loss. If you do ratio, mixtures, and then speed time races fall in place because ratio, mixtures are learned well. And so if you do speed time resistance and pipes and cisterns, then direct and inverse proportion falls in place automatically. You do bunch of these by using x, y, z, then linear quadratic equation falls in place automatically. You do simple interest, compound interest, then percentages fall in place automatically. So the topics are linked. You're not learning in an island, but you'll have to learn iteratively. So don't fret if you forget stuff. It happens to every single person. Don't worry about that when that happens. But you'll have to create a plan which has learning the first time, learning second time, learning third time built into it. You'll have to keep revisiting. Don't worry about it. Right? Don't stress out if a couple of things don't fall in place. And remember that quant is the elephant in the room. But once you've got somewhat comfortable with quant, move to DILR. Right? So for VARC, there's only one thing that you need to do, which is read obsessively. Right? So I'm going to go into quant, DILR, VARC step by step. But preparation overall have a quant bias because the syllabus is vast. Right? Now I've learned the fundas in quant. How do I know where I stand? You'll have to learn, consolidate, then benchmark. So learn, do a bunch of nice simple questions so the ideas get automated. If you're looking at 2 equations, you should be thinking a1 by a2 not equal to b1 by b2, unique solution, not processing and worrying. You should just know that automatically. You look at a quadratic equation, you should be able to say sum of the roots, product of the roots automatically without sitting and processing. Right? Then do questions of the level of difficulty that you're likely to see in CAT or just above CAT. So once you have consolidated, that's when you have to benchmark. And throughout, don't worry about speed. If your ideas are automated and you do questions with variety, then speed will automatically come. Speed is an output variable. You do practice, speed will come. You can't practice with speed in mind. It'll come. It'll definitely come. Right? The cross-linking across topics is very good, very high. You learn up 3-4 topics, you get better in the other 3-4 topics automatically. Give it a chance for that to happen. Right? So don't get worked up because you're not seeing the benefits straight away. Quant is the elephant in the room. Go step by step. But don't worry about speed and reiterate and iterate. When you're finishing off with arithmetic and you go on to geometry, that is when in your overall schedule you can bring in DILR as well. When you're bringing in geometry, learn geometry from first principles, then go to trigonometry, mensuration, coordinate geometry. It's absolutely pointless to try to do coordinate geometry and mensuration without covering geometry. If the geometry is in place, mensuration is a walk. Trigonometry is just an extension. And coordinate geometry is just adding some numbers and algebra to it, nothing more. Fine. So get geometry completely in the bag before going to the other 3. If you're hard pressed for time between algebra and number theory, honestly, you can even dump one of the two. You get total of 7-8 questions in both of these put together, usually. Fine. So number theory, we've had 1 or 2 questions from that topic each year. PNC, 1 or 2 each year. So there isn't much to lose if you don't go to town doing fancy questions. And what should one not to do in quants? First one, don't fret about speed from very early on. Speed will come, give it a chance. 2, stay within a reasonably narrow range of difficulty. If CAT is at a certain level, plus 20%, minus 15% is fine. But very often you go to, I see all the forums on the internet and groups and pages, and I see obscenely tough questions, and I see the level of difficulty. It's out of whack with the reality. You're not going to get questions of that level of difficulty, and so don't overshoot your level of difficulty too much. Keep that in mind. Right. Now I'm going to go move on to how to prepare for DILR. Start DILR maybe a month after you've got basic overall comfortable with percentages, profit and loss and all of that. When you're doing DILR, get the basics of DI, basics of LR out of the way. Fine. So just pie chart, line graph, bar graph, column graph, all those simple frameworks. Right? And then in LR, tournament questions and arrangement puzzles and sequencing puzzles and match the following puzzles and visualization puzzles. Get those out of the way. Right? Then go for variety. Once you've got the basics in place, which should take about 7 to 8 hours, then go for variety. The name of the game for DILR is variety. Consolidating templates is not important, not crucial. Getting your mind trained to pick the 11th and 14th and 103rd template, that is crucial. So don't keep doing the same things over and over again for DILR. Train your mind to be able to pick up new things when you're practicing. That is very crucial. So get the first basics out of the way really quickly, and then jump and have a crack at the slightly tougher bits in DILR. There are about 48 sets of actual QAT questions available on the internet. All 48 sets have detailed video solutions on our question bank on YouTube channel. I think about 2 or 3 are remaining, which will get done by this Friday or certainly. And so if you want a lovely starting point, hit 10 of those and you'll know exactly what is the level of difficulty for CAT. Then you can prepare and then come back and hit another 10 after a month, and then come back after a month for the last 25. So keep that as the best toolkit available with you to know what the benchmark is. What is the level of difficulty for CAT? Right? So for DILR, variety is important. Do about 7 to 8 hours of basics. Start on DILR after you've got comfortable with basic quant. And once you have done this 7 to 8 hours of basics, go for variety. How do you get a benchmark of what variety is? Go through actual CAT questions. Right? 2017, 18, 19, 48 of those are there. It might be interesting to hold on to some of these for later on, so that you know what the benchmark is. You might even want to take a few of the actual CAT papers as real mocks. So keep that in mind when you're preparing. But getting a 10 DILR puzzle hit gives you a sense of what to do very clearly. How to prepare for VRC? VRC strategy is brilliant and it's the easiest thing to do. Read for an hour every day. Forget about everything else. Read with intensity. Read with the ability to switch off about detail. Detail will come in subconsciously. Read so much that your mind doesn't get tired reading. Read short passages, long passages, novelettes, 3,000 word passages. Pour in detail. Just skim. Do all kinds of stuff. Don't consciously read to retain data. Read to get a feel for the topic. Read what you like. Read your favorite topics. Read so that the reading part becomes a habit. Reading is the most preferred hobby for a gazillion successful people. They all find their hits from reading. So make sure you find your hit from reading. And so keep that in mind. Work towards reading like that. Bharat sends a reading list article every day practically. At least 5 articles get posted each week. It's worth its weight in gold. It's absolute gold. If you've not seen that reading list, and you're missing out on life. Forget about what it can do to your CAT score. It can just brighten up your day. Pick that up, read that article very religiously, diligently. Right? So if you look at VRC, 24 questions are in reading comprehension. The last 2 months, 3 months, you do a reading comprehension exercise so that you can pick between choices and get to know how to answer them. Then you're good to go. but reading comprehension gets better if you're sitting on 400 hours worth reading with you and then doing that. And so read tons of stuff. Read for 1 hour every day. The formal organized preparation for reading comprehension or VRC, do about 2 to 3 passages per week in some form in the early stages. Then take it to maybe 1 passage per day for weekdays, with maybe 4 to 5 passages per week in the 2 months after now, maybe in August and September. After that, mocks alone will do. We won't need to boot on a lot of RC practice. Right? So the mocks are going to have the best passages. Once again, the best passages, the most representative passages, the most readable passages, the tricky ones, but not obscenely, unfairly tricky ones in terms of questions, are available in actual CAT papers. Right? So last 3 years, 2 papers per slot, 6 slots, 5 passages per year. You've got 30 absolutely top quality RC passages. Hit 5-6 of them early so that you know what the level is, how difficult it is going to be, what kind of questions you get. Then keep reading, then hit another 5 or 6. Use the actual CAT passages to give you a sense of what's the level of difficulty that you're likely to face. Right? So I'm going to go to the part of schedule of linking these up. Right? In your preparation, quant is going to have a bigger bias in the first half. About a month later, DILR is going to come into the picture. Throughout, reading is going to be present. Nothing more than that. And so you're preparing for DILR. Sometimes the religious, diligent idea of doing 1 or 2 puzzles per day is very useful. But I would ask you to mix it up, because in DILR, stamina plays a role. So you see a puzzle and then you see one more and then you see one more. Your mind gets tired. I would say, look, if you're doing 1 or 2 per day, now that is nice. But sooner or later, you've got to say, okay, I'm not doing 1 or 2 per day. I'm going to do 5 per week, but I'm going to do all 5 in one shot. Whether it takes 2 hours or 2.5 hours, I don't care. You're in trouble. Right? So over time, switch out of this 1 per day mode to 4 in a set, 5 at a stretch, 6 at a stretch. But that's what you'll be needing to do on the day of your exam. So keep that in mind. Hoover up DILR to a day. Put reading comprehension passages to a day, the other 3 days to quant, and then consolidate over the weekend. Okay. Now, beyond all this, at some point of time, you've got to switch out and say, I want to focus on mocks. So you should start taking mocks right about now. We are into July. You should have a plan to do, give or take, a mock per week in July, August to maybe mid-September. Then mid-September to end of October, you should be doing 2-3 per week. And amp it up really hard from, say, October 15 to November 10, November 15, when you do 3 per week. And so sooner or later, your entire preparation is going to be mock driven. In the beginning, it is to build stamina, it is to build range, it is to give you a sense of what the big picture is. It is going to give you a sense of what your preparation holes are, where your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. In the end, it's towards the second half, it's going to be about picking and choosing the right questions, dumping early, managing your temperament, being cool and relaxed and happy when a paper is whether going your way or not going your way, both ways. That training your mind part has to kick in by the time you're beyond, say, August 15 or August 30. September, October will have to be predominantly about mocks. And the one issue with mocks, and a lot of questions, lot of students being hesitant about taking mocks. Stuff happens. Don't wait to complete syllabus to take mocks. That is never going to happen. So throw it away. Throw that idea away. Bin it today. So make sure that you can take a mock even if you're not prepared at all for CAT. Start with a mock. Throw it out of the window. You're going to take 3-4 mocks to just get the hang of mocks. Mocks, the initial phase is to get used to the idea of sitting for 3 hours at a stretch. Great many students are not used to that. 3 hours fully intense without switching off in exam taking mode. It takes months to build. Do not underestimate that. If you get whacked in one section, still coming back in the second one is again a challenge. Do not underestimate that. Those are the things that will determine how well you do on D-Day. And so do focus a lot on mocks and start them early. The only thing I would say over and over again, get the first 3 mocks out of your system. Your score simply doesn't matter. Especially those of you who have not taken CAT before, you should take a mock this weekend, either later the night today or tomorrow. Fine. So take 1 mock to get the damn thing out of your system. Take 2-3, get used to it. Remember the golden rules for taking mocks. First one, the most important one, practically the only one for the first few mocks, is to make sure that you don't switch off during a mock. The temptation will be incredibly high to dial down during a mock, especially if one section doesn't go well. You're like, ये तो नहीं आने वाला है, तो why do I want to complete it and see a 65 percentile score? अब तो मैं इसको अभी भूल जाता हूँ टाइप. So don't do that. Don't fall into that trap of dumping it halfway through. Hang in there, build that resilience, build that temperamental soundness, build that patience to definitely complete the mock. It doesn't matter what score you get, but you're not getting out of that seat before the 180 minutes are done. If you maintain that and you can take 25 mocks and do all 25 mocks hanging in there for 180 minutes, I can tell you that you'll get 90th percentile. No doubt about it. And so very often you switch off and just lose your cool during a mock. Don't do that. Hang in there. Second thing, which is absolutely important, is review. If you spend 3 hours for doing a mock, you should spend at least 3 hours reviewing it. In the first phases, make sure your review focuses on learning. What are your gaps? How do you do them? How do you fill them? What am I not good at? How do I plug that? Soon enough, you'll have to go and say, focus on question selection. So look, I'm not good at this. Why did I try that question? Why did I not dump that question straight away? Why did I spend 40 minutes on these 2 puzzles? What made me think that I have the skill set to crack that? Why did my mind not skip it and go to the next one? Why did I attempt this passage when the other one is right up my alley? And so the first few mocks are for filling learning gaps. The next few are for making sure that the mock strategy falls in place, where you know how to pick the better question. In the last phase, you should continue to do both of these: fill learning gaps, make sure that mock strategy falls in place, and you should amp up intensity. And intensity can give you the last 20%. I know a lot of students who phase out during a mock. They're staring at a screen, reading a passage. They've read the whole passage. They read the questions. When they read the question, they realize that they're remembering nothing from the passage. Your mind has just glossed over it. It has gone for a walk around the park. But you've just been staring at the screen, kidding yourself into believing that you're reading it. You lose 7-8 minutes like that in each section, you're out. You can't get 99.8 unless you're an absolute genius. Except that. And so you're amping up intensity and being switched on throughout is going to be the last lap, which gives you that final 15-20%. So that is going to be the third phase of max, where you automatically know your stuff. You've learned how to fill your learning gap. You know how to train yourself to select better and better questions. Now amp up intensity. So you have to plan with that in mind. I'm going to jump on to questions from now. The last bit which I had kept in mind was how to handle stress. And so de-emphasize CAT and results. Emphasize the process. Right? Enjoy your learning to the extent possible. Take joy in learning number systems and geometry. And take joy in cracking separa jumble questions. Take joy in reading interesting passages. Be thrilled when you're solving puzzles. And train that. It is very trainable. Some people are naturally like that. Rest of us will have to get trained to be like that, but it's very trainable. You can train your mind to be happy when you're doing some things. Do that. That'll have a massive payoff. Don't burn your bridges. Don't say nasty thing to your project guide professor or the secretary of your boss, thinking I'm going to finish CAT and go off somewhere. Don't do that. Don't quit your job. Don't rubbish your college scores. Don't do any of those things. De-emphasize this exam and the results. Think your life is going to go on without a fantastic CAT score. Deal with life like that. Right? Get some perspective. And the world is being laid low by a virus. India is struggling. Some cities are struggling a lot. And so there are people who are not sure about basic pay if things go like this for another 2 months. And scores of Indians are struggling to manage their books, to manage their finances. Anybody who's on a daily wage laborer or who's someone who has some form of blue collar job is struggling now. Fine. So there are some who's still getting paid, even though they're not being able to contribute as much. There are quite a few white collar jobs where they're getting compassionate pay. We can all get angry and riled up about a capitalist conspiracy. But hey, if you turn up and you work, the guy will pay. If he's struggling, he's going to pass it on. We keep telling that people who are paying, the employers, should be kind. But if he's getting squeezed, if he's not getting enough work done from people, he's going to request some of them to leave. And you can't get enough done out of people because they're not going to be able to turn up. Sooner or later, the pain is going to go from one source to another. It is going to travel. And so, if you're sitting here watching YouTube thinking about how to prepare for CAT, one way or the other, you're in one lucky minority. Whether it's a 1% minority or a 5% minority or a 10% minority, depends on how you view it. But there are scores and millions of Indians who are in a far worse position than we all are. And it takes, I keep trying to remind myself of that every day. I get worked up every time I see something slipping in our office or an output or what I want to do or some miss on some videos that I'm shooting. I get frustrated. Just tell myself I'm freakishly lucky. Fine. So please, sometimes that perspective really helps. And so keep that in mind. We're all incredibly lucky to be in whatever modest position we are in these testing times. It's incredibly testing times. Hang in there. Don't chase just productivity. Don't set too ambitious targets and set yourself up for disappointment. But de-stress yourself by saying, hey, this is not the most crucial thing in my life. Right? The wonderful other stress buster that I know of is work. And so if you have not prepared for CAT for a month, you're getting stressed because of it, switch off from everything else. Spend the next week preparing each day for 4 hours. The stress will fly away. It'll fly away like nothing else. Stress can't survive if you're working hard. It can't. It simply disappears. Sometimes you end up setting over ambitious targets even when you're working hard. Then you take stock and say, look, I'm doing my best. If it's not falling in place, it will fall in place. I cannot be Batman and Superman at the same time. I'll make myself have slightly more modest ambitions and have a go at it. Right? So combat stress. The other thing about stress is it creeps on you. Sometimes you've vested too much emotionally into doing well in this, and every day a data point goes against you. It feel like something is constricting you, not letting you breathe. That happens to everybody. It happens to happy looking people, sad looking people, successful people, unsuccessful people. Everyone feels the bite of falling and missing the mark vis-a-vis their own expectations. Sometimes it's communal, sometimes it's personal. And so talk to people, do some form of physical exercise, and do tons of work. If you're working hard, stress can be kept at bay. And very often the greatest solution to being stressed in all these competitive exam contexts is actually turning up and working. If you can look at yourself in the mirror on November 24, 25, 26, whatever the date is, and say, look, I tried, I prepared, I've thrown a lot into this. It falls my way, it doesn't, I'm still good. I know I can throw an effort and throw something. Then you won't feel stressed. You won't feel bad about yourself on the exam. And that's crucial. So turn up and work. Stress also will go away. Right? Wonderful, guys. I'm going to have a look at all the questions that are there. I'm sure the guys from 2IM have answered most of the questions anyway. But I'm going to pick the better or more relevant questions from there. Normal MBA versus MBA healthcare management for a doctor. Better college, more broader MBA, flagship course in any college, better than anything else. And so if you're getting into a good college, a general MBA, pick that. Better. 10, 12 grad, 95, 96, 77.5, it is good. How much should I target in CAT? 100 percentile. And why is that a matter? So this percentile question, this background, that percentile, it's a fool's game. It's a fool's errand. It's a mug's game. It gives you nothing. Prepared and aim for 100 percentile. If it works, it works. If it doesn't and you end up with 99.9, it's still good. And so throw everything into the preparation. Don't worry about your odds all the time. You all need to be realistic. You need to take stock. You need to understand that there are a bunch of colleges that are available for 99.7. There are probably colleges that are 10% worse than this in terms of what they can give you over a career. But that's available for 95th percentile. And you go to these colleges, you do well, you're overtaking your IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore graduates and going farther in your career and being happier in your life. So based on your competency, how much of effort you can put in, how much you can plan, how much you can throw in, and where you're headed, be realistic about your chances. Don't beat yourself up if you're not in the frame for IIM Ahmedabad. General category students, you have about 200 every year. Overall, there's 400 every year. You cannot be harsh on yourself to say that out of 1.4 billion people in our country, you are not in the top 400 by any benchmark in that year. Doesn't work. So set good targets, ambitious, relevant, but realistic, and then work to achieve them. But don't beat yourself up that if you don't get an admit to Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Calcutta. None of these admits matter as much as we think they do now. I have 90, 85, 78%. Do I have a chance to crack into top 3 to 5 colleges? Yeah, your undergrad score is a smidgen less, but it shouldn't prevent you from joining. And go for it. Stuck around 90th percentile, you're in June. 90th percentile is fine. So 90 to 100 marks is a good place to be in right now. I can tell you that if you plan well and fill your gaps from now to D-Day, you can double your score or even better. And so don't get stressed out, don't get worked up saying I'm getting 90 marks. 90 marks is fantastic. And anybody, if they prepare well, they can go to 120, 130 marks. That's my belief overall. If you're 90 to 100 now, you can say I will go to the 120 mark, then I'll look to go to 130, 140. It's very much possible. Have faith and hang in there. Especially for RC, you keep reading, you'll get better. But you have to give it time. You can't keep on measuring. Every data point is not a crucial data point. Every inch, every bit is not a determiner on how things are coming crashing down. Not. Is it possible to score 99.5 plus starting today? This is Sachin Mida, definitely. Fine. So 99.5 plus is a tricky target. Absolutely no doubt about it. Fine. So it is not easy to achieve that. Fine. So there are some people who have the ability to go that high, and they're blessed with that, and they start at that higher level, and they know straight away that they can reach that high. Fine. So the 99.5 is something that is not built in for everybody. There's some that are going to struggle to get to 99.5 because your basic tons of reading practice is not already in place. The natural comfort with quant is not built in. You've not solved too many puzzles in your life, and there's a certain non-exam friendliness there. All that can happen. So 99.5 plus is ambitious, very ambitious. You want to be in the top 0.5% of the 2 lakh people who take this exam. You want to be in the top 1,000, which is fantastic. Also challenging. And so the 99.5 plus is not a guarantee just on preparation, but it is very much possible even if you start now. If you have the basics in place, it's a target that you can aim for and have a reasonable chance. And some RC, if you're getting easy accuracy passages, you get 4 out of 5. Difficult ones, 2 out of 5. You don't need to improve your passage scores as much as you need to improve your question selection and passage selection. If you need to realize that this is a 2 out of 5 passage and stay out of it, that alone can improve your accuracy. And so you don't need to score in every passage. You don't need to score from the toughest passages. You can become savvy and still get to a great score. You need to know what are the kind of mistakes that you end up making in RC and avoid them and avoid those questions. Another question I saw was from how do I shortlist, go to the final thing when you've limited to 2 choices. The last 2 is generally ends up being elimination. There's something in one choice that gets kicked out because there's an overstatement somewhere or an exaggeration somewhere. Look to identify that and kick that out. That can make a difference. So keep that in mind. We've got a separate video on our own YouTube channel on how to resolve the 1 and 2 conundrum. I'm so close between B and D, but I don't know. So go through that. That should help. What needs to be done for profile building? Nothing. Don't worry about profile building. Profile building is not going to affect your chances of getting a call. For getting a call, 10th, 12th, undergrad score, work experience, CAT score. In some order, some weightage. What you did in state level competition when you were in 4th standard doesn't matter. Whether you do a CFA or an FRM or Six Sigma, doesn't matter. None of these fancy things matter. And working in an NGO doesn't matter. Fine. I'm not saying they're useless things, mind you. I'm just saying they don't make a material impact in getting you a seat on the table for the interview. Once you get to the interview, that's when you do. Don't spend time building your profile. Doesn't matter. Right? There seems to be graduated in 2018, 87, 94, 76, good scores, 7 actuarial papers, 7 profile is good, get a good SCAT score, you can go to places. MBA versus MS in business analytics, what is the more logical choice? The bigger brand drives it. MBA brands in India are well recognized. Business analytics, only a few are that recognized. If you get into a good college, if you get into IMCAL, vis-a-vis getting into business analytics with IM Kozhikode, go to IMCAL. The better college matters. The college brand matters. Business analytics is a hot topic, is a preferred area right now. And some of the colleges offer fantastic courses. If you have a natural aptitude for and a fascination towards analytics and comfort with analytics, and you have done some amount of coding and thinking in that stream, then go for that. But otherwise, the better college is a better college. That's your driver, not the specialization. How practical is it to target 200 plus? Absolutely practical. What is impractical about it? Shoot for the stars, my friend. Why should you not target 200 plus? Who's preventing you from targeting 200 plus? If I'm taking the exam, I want to target 200 plus. I want to target 230 plus. And so, know where you stand after you take a bunch of marks. Be realistic. I'm not. But what's the downside to dreaming? Nothing. Have a vision which is set high, and then add realism to it and become pragmatic. But there's nothing that is preventing you from having that high ambition as a guiding light. It can't be something that sets you up for disappointment, but it can be something that guides you to take the effort. How exactly to analyze mocks? There's a long video on how to analyze mocks. Hit that. There's an entire page on how to handle mock process. Hit that. Frightfully useful. So it takes you bit by bit on how to analyze it. Those one of my favorite videos and content are there because it covers everything. Aspirants with 5+ years of experience, CAT or GMAT, both definitely. But if you have 5 years experience now, you're going to have 6 by the time you join next year. Then GMAT will be one smidgen higher preference than CAT. The strategy you use for getting 100 percentile. This is one of my favorite quotes when it comes to strategies. Comes from this from the Avengers franchise. So the Captain, what's the plan of attack? I have a plan attack. And so I love that quote. I have a heavy action bias. One of my character flaws, if you can call it that. So if I'm doing something, I like to be doing the thing. So sometimes I don't pause to think, I don't pause to digest, I don't pause to consolidate. I just want to do. But when in issues where the action releases itself is stress relieving, it works wonders. For me, the biggest driver for CAT performance is intensity. On the day, if you turn up, you show the paper, my eyes light up and I go berserk. And I pause to think after 40 minutes, and I'm rattling off at that speed that my mind doesn't get the bandwidth to get stressed or worked up or anxious. So if it does get anxious, I have to fight out of it, and I'm not probably good at that. But my intensity is my biggest plus. I don't switch off and go bang, and that's very crucial. How many hours should I dare to study? You're looking at 15 hours per week now, amping to 20, then amping to 25. 45 hours per week with intensity is impossibly tough. And intensity is a watchword, not the number of hours. 84, good profile. Nothing that should prevent you from doing. Quants every single day, it's your own preference, my friend. Don't fall into a dulled preparation schedule. Intensity is crucial. When you're doing, you need to be turned up. You can't check your WhatsApp feed and Facebook feed and watch a score in a match and check out what's happening in the news when you're preparing. That is more important than the schedule or topic that you do in each day. What that I can apply for CAT in 2021, you can. 5th semester starts in 2021, ends in December 21. 6th semester starts from Jan. Depends on whether you're doing a 3-year course. If you're taking the exam in your final year, you're good to go. And you can't take it in your pre-final year. If you're taking the exam in your final year, you're good to go. Mock analysis, we have covered that in some detail. How much should I score to get a call from IMA? If everything isn't going your way and you're a general candidate, 99.65 plus. If one thing is not going your way, 99.75 plus. If two things are not going your way in terms of work experience and some undergrad score, 99.85, 99.9 plus. So depends on where you are, but any which you have to get 99.65, 99.7. 82nd percentile to 99th percentile, definitely you can go for quant. Don't bypass basics, get tons of practice. It'll work, it'll fall in place. How to pick learnings and notes from mocks. Review each question to know what the learning gap is. Review the paper overall to know how your question selection can improve. Put both of them together, consolidate before you go to the next mock. Should I have any mock targets for each month? Yes, you should. It should be the number of mocks you do with intensity, not the score. Scores will move up and down. They will yo-yo. They will add to stress. You need to build temperamental soundness into your system. You need to not get, you don't need to not break down if some two things don't go your way. Fine. But you need to set your target for saying, okay, this month I'm going to take 6 mocks. Next month I'm going to take 8 mocks. That is your target, not the score. I've done engineering over 5 years. Does it affect chances? Definitely yes. Definitely yes. So if you've taken extra time, that means your academic performance is not great. If you're from SC, that's going to be less of a big deal, because the targets and cutoffs for SC are much lower than for general category students. So that is a big plus, but it will matter. I can do most of the questions, but I can't perform with exam pressure. De-emphasize exam pressure. Enjoy the process of solving when you are in exam. Take tons of mocks. If mocks become second nature, then solving in mocks is going to be like solving outside of mocks. If you're doing the first 3 mocks, you're conscious of the fact that you're doing mocks. If you do a mock every Sunday, and then you do a mock every Wednesday and Sunday, when you're doing the 15th mock, your mind is not thinking, oh, this is a mock, I need to do really well, I'm sure, I hope I don't underperform in an exam setting because I'm usually good outside of exam. Your mind is thinking, okay, mock, I took one last week, I took one in the middle of this week. Chalo yaar, ek aur kar lete hain. So you need to make the mock taking a matter of habit. Then this will disappear. Fine, so do tons of mocks. That panic during the exam will go away. Remember, everybody has it. Everybody amps up or down in an exam. Amps down in the exam more often than not than in general setting. So that's not unusual. Fine. You can apply for CAT 2021, Ravi Kumar. And you seem to have a very specific scenario. If you are in your final year, you can apply. And let me see some other questions which are there. Should I refrain from full length mocks? Absolutely not. You should be taking full length mocks even before you complete preparation. Definitely. What is the predicted CAT score for 99.65? That's available on the net. There's a number that's there even on our website based on CAT 2019 and 18. I'm not able to recall it off the top of my head, but that is available. The exact number is available. And you get 180, 185, you should be there, 99.65 plus. I'm able to solve 20 plus questions in any mock, but I solve only 14 to 15. What should I do? Take more and more mocks. Once mocks become a habit, this delta will bridge. This delta will go down. Fine. Best strategy to start from July. That's just this whole video, my friend. So go through that. You'll get that. 99.65, you're looking at 185, 180. Not easy, but hey, 99.65 is not easy. 4 years of work experience, is it considered a disadvantage with respect to placements? No. Fine. So the median experience is between 2.5 and 3 years. So you're going to have a year more than the median guy. That's definitely not the end of the world. We've had guys with 5 years experience coming out with stellar jobs at the end of their MBA. Fine. So 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 4 years or 5 years looked like the outlier. Now it is not. And R&B schools have gravitated towards getting students with experience. If you have more experience, you'll probably get butchered in summer placements, in internships. But by the time it's final placement, if you have your CG or how well you have done inside the IM or whichever B school you go to, that'll matter. And if that is good enough, then you'll get the best jobs. Don't worry about it. Fees in the top colleges, that is true. So you have to calculate how the ROI works. You'll get loans. And if you're getting into the top 20, taking the loan is a no-brainer. You can take the loan and you'll be able to repay it in 3 or 4 years, and you're set for a career. So loan is not a risky proposition if you're joining a top 20 college, and loans are plentiful and available and easy to get. So that is not a challenge. If you don't have the money right now, don't worry about it. If you get a good admit, then somebody is going to say, okay, you've got a good admit, I'll pay you for it. I'll lend you money so that you can repay later on. So that is possible. So don't worry about the financial part right now. 98 to 99.8. 98, that means your fundas are in place. Amp up speed with a tons of practice. Amp up intensity with tons of mocks. You're good to go. 75, 65, 63, how much for FMS Delhi? See, FMS Delhi, the ACADS matter that little bit less. So your ACADS not being great is not that big a stumbling block. Having said that, because it is like that, there's intense competition. So you need to look at 99.8 to have a crack at it. I'm learning for quants right now. Do the basics, then prepare, and after completion, don't. You have to mix topics up. You learn the basics, do a bunch of practice, go to the next topic, do some practice, come back to the first topic, do a lot more practice, because things go out of the mind. You will forget stuff. You have to come back and keep revisiting if you want to consolidate really well, and you can't skip topics. Sectional test help or not if basics are over. Topic wise test help, but sectional test also help. But remember that sectional tests are not same as mock. Taking quant, DLR, VRC together, VRC then DLR then quant, is way more challenging than doing 3 1 hour buckets. The fatigue and intensity factor matters. Can I get 99% in 6 months? You can do better than that. There's enough time to prepare. Don't worry. Getting 30 correct answers, how to push 50 plus, keep filling gaps, keep revisiting the theory, keep taking more mocks, it'll automatically go to 50 correct answers. MBA after CA, worth it, definitely. For the top 5-6 colleges, definitely worth it. The MBA CA combination is extremely potent for the juiciest investment banking and consult jobs. So it is a brilliant combination. It just powers you forward. Right? So, but automatically, if you're in CA and you've got a good background, you're probably getting paid well, then only the top 5-6 colleges are relevant. That's because how well you're doing right now. And so that's all right. 3 year failed in engineering, then changed aim to BBA, completed this year. Get a good CAT score. Only your BBA will matter. The missed engineering opportunity will not matter for getting the call. Once you get the call and you're sitting in that seat, you can explain yourself. And if you get 5 calls, 2 people will listen to you. The other 3 will choose side. So give yourself the chance by getting a good CAT score. That's all I can say. But if you give yourself a chance, you will go places. Did you get 200 plus in CAT? Yes, I did. Fine. So you can see my scorecards. I'm not going to go deeper in that. 86, 84, 73, 9.8, 95, 75, good enough to the target score, target as high as possible. If you're general category student for ABC, 99.65. If you're NCOBC, 98.5, 98.5. If scored above 99 percentile, will I get the seat in IIMs or not? There are 99 IIMs. 99 percentile will not get ABC, LIK, but will get a bunch of new IIMs and almost all the baby IIMs. With SC category, 99 plus will take you to all the colleges. Past poor academics affect final placement. Almost everything can be offset with a good CG inside college. If you're in the top 10 in your college, you'll be given a short list by every recruiter. You do well in the interview, they'll forgive whatever else went before that. GMAT online coaching provided by 2IM. It's provided by Visaco, which is 2IM by another name. Check that out. WIZAKO, our sister concern. They have a fabulous course. Please do check that out. 2 years of experience. I've stopped working and studying from past 4 months. Do well, but you've taken a break very early, my friend. So you're going to have a 16-month gap if you go to join next June. In which case, have something meaningful to do. My suggestion is get on a job. Nothing against having a good job and preparing at the same time. Strategy plan for 6 months. That's what we've been discussing so far. 98, 97 in quant LRDI. VRC is 72, which is 26 marks. Read tons of stuff. It'll go places. Read with variety. Read tons of stuff. it'll go places. So Mukul Kumar, hang in there, read lots of good material. Your VRC score will automatically, unwittingly, subconsciously go up. Fine. So but hang in there. Got only 43 highly. The first score doesn't count for anything, my friend. Rohit Chandramani, you got 43 in this mock. Throw it away. Take 2 more. Take 3 more. Take 5 more. Prepare. Get your kicks from preparing. Don't get your kicks from the score. Fine. Is pushing the score from 100 to 150 too difficult to achieve now? Not at all. If your score is 50, it can still go to 150. Fine. So you have plenty of time. 5-6 months is a lot of time to prepare for this exam. New IIMs with 5 years of experience, depending on where the 5 years experience is. If you're earning 9 lakhs, 10 lakhs per annum, the new IIMs might not give you a great boost. But if you're earning 4 lakhs per annum, new IIMs could take you places. Depends on where you are right now. Not just the number of years, but the quality of your experience. 2 IIM question bank is gold. I never tire of hearing that. Thank you. We take a lot of effort for that. So it's very gratifying to know that people do find it to be golden. Thank you. Leave job some 4-5 months before CAT. Leave job never. I'm never going to say it's a good idea to leave a job. I've lost my job due to Corona. That happens. So people are going to be incredibly kind to this news flow of somebody losing a job, because jobs are disappearing. So don't worry about that. Look for a job any which way. Prepare for CAT. Try to get a job. Having a job is not just for having a good profile, but it helps you to relax in your CAT preparation. How to tackle fear of failure? It's $1 million question. So it's there. Make sure that in your mind you're not saying everything depends on this exam. That's immensely useful. So take this exam in the right spirit. Be lightheaded and tell yourself, look, it's a chance for another career progression, but my life doesn't depend on it. That is useful. 2, emphasize the process. Have fun preparing. Make yourself sharper, better, more articulate, more intense during the course of this preparation. Then the result becomes incidental and you'll still go places outside of that. De-emphasize the result. Emphasize the process. De-emphasize the exam. Enjoy the learning. And the fear of failure should go away. The failure is not turning up to prepare. Failure is not getting 99. So define your success failure distinction differently. If you prepare for 400 hours before the exam, you're a success. It will take you places. It doesn't matter how well the exam goes. Chances are the exam will go brilliantly as well. Wonderful, guys. I'm going to wind up now. There's a bunch of other videos on specifically for mocks or how to prepare and how to solve the 1 and 2 hassles in RC, all of that, how to tackle a gap year, all of that, how to start preparation with DILR. For any section, the best starting points are actual CAT questions. Right? Wonderful, guys. So I've more or less covered almost everything. I'm going to skip the questions on what is this profile and if for 98, 92, 65, where do I go? Because there's no great answer for it and doesn't change preparation in any meaningful manner. We've covered most of the rest in some form or other. So I'm going to sign off with that. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday and a great lockdown from here on out. And so don't stay fit, stay healthy, stay active, stay temperamentally sound, throw everything into the preparation. Best wishes. Enjoy yourself and have some perspective and stay safe. Stay safe, folks. Crucial times. Ciao.